Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? So, I have some crazy USPS news today, and there's a few different parts of this that I want to talk about, and I'm sort of learning more and more about it these last couple of days here, and it's been causing a big problem with my eBay business and pretty much any business where I sell online. And I'm sure other eBay sellers and other people out there who use mail, whether to ship packages to family and friends, or you use mail for your business, or you own a small business. I'm sure this has been affecting many other people besides me too, and they've sort of been wondering what's going on, like I was, because I did not know what was going on at first. So I'm gonna give you a rundown of what's been happening with my mail and what it means, sort of why it's happening. Okay, so back around December 24th of last year, I noticed that I would print out a label and I would ship my package. And usually my mailman picks up my packages from my porch. And usually when he would pick them up in the past, I'd get a notification on the tracking that would say USPS picked up this item, and the tracking would update. But I started to get tons and tons of packages where there was no tracking updating whatsoever until the item was actually delivered. And we're talking weeks and weeks and weeks for a couple things. So it would basically say label created, and I would ship the package, and then it would say nothing from label created all the way until it was delivered. And that was causing a big problem for me because a lot of people on eBay who were buying from me were messaging me saying, "Hey, did you even ship my package yet? It doesn't even say that it was picked up or that you shipped it. Where's my package?" And then on top of that, the mail was moving extra slow during the holidays. So it was a nightmare. I had to message probably 50 different people and explain what was going on. And I also had to refund a few buyers. The packages didn't arrive on time and they filed item not received cases against me. And there's there's a whole bunch of reasons of why this is a big problem. But I'm going to specifically talk about why it's a big problem for eBay and other online sellers. So it turns out that this wasn't just something that was happening to me in my area, which is what I thought. I thought it was some mail glitch, in my specific area, and that it would eventually get better. No, it turns out this is a rule change that USPS just implemented on December 24th of last year, which is when started to notice it happening. So it's called Delivering for America Plan, and it's a 10-year strategy to cut costs and improve long-term financial health. So basically, they're cutting costs, And I don't want to get political on this channel. This is nothing political. I'm just speaking facts here. A few years ago, Donald Trump wanted to get rid of USPS altogether. He thought it was costing America too much money, and he either wanted to privatize it or just get rid of it altogether. I don't know exactly all the details, but that's just what happened a few years ago. And I don't know if this is sort of a countermeasure, like USPS got pretty shook and they just like, okay, we got to cut costs or else like, Trump or whoever else is going to get rid of us. So I don't know if this is some type of countermeasure. Maybe they do need to cut costs and modernize operations. That's very possible, but it feels like a countermeasure to me. But I'm not going to get into all that right now. But that's one part of it. So here it is. I'll just read you guys what I have pulled up. This is Google, where it sort of is explaining what the Delivering for America plan is. They're consolidating mail processing into fewer, larger regional facilities. Transporting adjustments, changes in transportation schedules mean mail might not reach processing hubs the same day it's mailed. Shift in mail volume, adapting to more packages and fewer letters. And then it says what's changing, the rule clarification. Postmark date versus drop-off date. The postmark now signifies the date mail is first processed at a USPS facility. For example, a large sorting machine center. not necessarily the day you put it in the box or the day that your mailman picks it up. The rule clarifies the difference, but it means your postmark could be days later than the day you mailed it. So that was what was happening to me on eBay. And this is also a problem if you sell on eBay, because if you're a top rated seller and your packages are not updating within your handling time, you're going to lose your top rated seller status, which I think I did already. And it's going to create problems for your account because eBay, they want good account health. And this basically completely goes against having the ability to keep your account in good health. Like, this is basically totally out of our hands, and our accounts are getting screwed over, our eBay accounts, which means less sales in the long run, and potentially bad reviews because packages are taking forever and they're not updating, and there's probably buyers who do not know this rule yet, they don't believe you when you tell them that, hey, like, this is a new thing, packages are not scanning until they're delivered. It's just going to cause all kinds of problems, and it's already caused me specifically so many problems. And it's crazy because I'm just now finding out that this is actually a rule change that USPS is putting into effect. So let me keep reading. So it's going to impact on customers. Time-sensitive mail. Affects deadlines for tax filings, IRS, timely mailed, timely filed, absentee ballots, and bill payments, potentially leading to late fees. So that's a problem for people who don't even sell on eBay. Rural areas disproportionately affects those farther from processing hubs, notes the Brookings Institution. And that's super important right there, okay? Because I'm not really in a rural area, but I didn't have a car for 6 years, so I couldn't get to the post office to drop off my packages. So my mailman, he knows to pick up my packages. This is a service that USPS offers, and as far as I know, they still offer the service. I don't know if that's going to change. But my mailman picks up my packages from my porch every morning when he drops off my mail. Apparently, if you do it that way, if you mail your mail that way, or you drop a letter off into a mailbox, that's going to make the chances of it not updating even more. So, for me, I still don't want to have to drive to the post office. It's still very convenient for me to packages on my porch for my mailman to pick up. So when I scroll down, it says how to get a specific date. Manual postmark. Request a manual postmark at a post office counter for free. What if you can't get to a post office? Proof of mailing. Use certified mail, registered mail, or purchase a certificate of mailing for official proof of acceptance. So see, like, you have to purchase more things. And then I read something else too, which I can't find it now, but it said that you have more of a chance of your package getting scanned on time if you drop it off over the counter at an actual post office. They're basically kind of strong arming people into dropping your packages off at an actual post office over the counter, or like my post office has a like a little drop off bin. And here's the funny thing is I actually have been taking some packages to the post office for the first time in like 6 years because I have a car, right? I wanted to see if that changed anything. And there's like this little bin where you can just throw packages in and then, walk away. And they handle it for you. I'm sure a lot of people have that with their post office. And I noticed that my packages were updating much quicker. They were actually updating when I did it that way. But I had a few where they weren't updating. Even by doing it that way, they weren't updating. The tracking wasn't updating. So even that is not like 100% infallible. And that's just a big, big problem. Like, so even though I'm not like in a rural area, I'm still low income. I still didn't have a car for a long time. So this is totally hurting my pockets because it's basically destroyed my eBay business from December 24th up until now. Like in a month or less time, my eBay business has completely tanked. My sales have gotten slower. I've had way more customer complaints. I've had to message so many people, take time out of my day and explain like what was going on with the mail. and I didn't even really know what to tell them. Like I said, I thought it was a glitch at first, but that's just a big problem. So that's what it's called, Delivering for America plan. And I found out about this rule from an email on the Cannabis and Liquor Board of my state. They sent me an email explaining this, and I'm going to show you guys that email too. So hold on one second. Okay, so this is the first email I got on January 7th, a couple days ago, where I realized that this might actually be a thing. This isn't just some glitch happening to me. This is actually a service rule change that USPS is implementing nationwide. I'm just going to show you guys this email just for the heck of it, just in case there's like it tells us any other information. But this isn't even about eBay. This is like talking about people who like sell legal cannabis and alcohol. This doesn't directly just affect me or eBay sellers. This is going to affect tons of people. So here it says the changes took effect December 24th. I'll just read it from the top. We are writing to inform you of a federal rule change that may impact all licensees. Through news stories, we recently learned of changes by the U.S. Postal Service, USPS, related to mail processing and postmarks. We are sharing this information to make sure you are aware. The changes took effect December 24th, 2025, which is when I started noticing this happen to my packages. Now a postmark explicitly means the date that the USPS processed the item, which could be days later than when it was actually mailed. The postmark now reflects the date as an envelope is first processed by an automated USPS sorting machine, potentially days after it was dropped off, not the actual drop-off date. So, and then it goes on to talk about how the liquor board and many other agencies have rules, processes, and timelines that are specific to the postmark dates. The changes could result in late fees and penalties for anyone mailing time-sensitive documents or payments when a postmark is used to prove a deadline was met. That's just so crazy to me. Because how are all these places going to account for this? How's the voting system going to account for this, where people do mail-in ballots? How is eBay going to account for this? How is, like, the IRS, how are they going to account for this? So we're not all just getting screwed over for something that is totally out of our control. The changes mean that if you need to get a payment, official document, form, or other LCB required correspondence submitted by a specific date or deadline, you may want to add extra time to it. You may want to add extra time to allow for any delay between mail drop-off and when a postmark is stamped. Okay, so that brings me to another point. Handling time on eBay. I'm pretty much going to have to put my handling time at the biggest, longest handling time allotted to me as an eBay seller to cover my own ass, if that makes sense. Because if my mail isn't scanning on time, because like my handling time is 2 days, right? I'm supposed to get the package is supposed to scan by USPS within 2 days of when it was purchased by a buyer, and shipping within your handling time on eBay is extremely important because that's what keeps your account in good health, right? So I'm gonna have to make my handling time extremely long, and that's going to hurt my sales too, because buyers, there's still a lot of people who have no idea that this happened. Buyers are going to look at my page and they're going to say, I really want this, but I wonder how quickly this guy ships. Even if I ship it much quicker, they're still looking at my page and they're saying, oh, but his handling time says 7 days. I don't want to wait 7 days. I'm going to go buy this somewhere else, or I'm not going to buy from him at all. Even if I ship my package like the next day, for example, I still have to make my handling time much longer to keep my eBay account in good health. And I imagine like a lot of other eBay sellers are going to have to do that. So that's really, really tough to deal with, to even think about right now. And then here's another thing, and I don't want to forget this part. So eBay actually made some new like seller protection rule changes a few months ago, and I heard about this like on YouTube from another reseller. And one of the rule changes that eBay made was if the tracking, if your USPS tracking shows that you shipped the item on time, like it was scanned on time within your handling time. Let's say it like gets lost in the mail or it's taking extra long, even though you shipped on time. Let's say it just is taking a long, long time, or it even gets lost, and then a buyer can file a item not received claim, and then after a certain amount of days, if the item is still not delivered, you have to refund the buyer. That's basically still what happens, but eBay changed that to where if you refund the buyer, but your tracking shows that you mailed it on time, and then eventually it arrives to the buyer and you already refunded that buyer, you get your money back, which is really cool, which is a great, it's a great thing to for eBay to implement and to do. But this whole new USPS rule change, this pretty much completely screws that over. And I can give you like a direct example because I'm having a lot of people file item not received claims against me, right? And then I have to refund them. I've already refunded a few people. And then the package arrives, and I go to eBay and I say, hey, look, the package arrived. Can I get a refund? eBay will look at the tracking and they'll say, yeah, the package arrived, but you didn't ship it within your handling time because nothing updated from the time that you made the label to the time that it was delivered to the buyer. So on our end, on eBay's end, we're seeing that actually you didn't ship this on time, so we don't have to refund you for this. So basically, you're out the cost of that item, and the buyer gets to keep that item for free, and you lose the money. You just lose it, and you give that item away for free. So that part, I want to know how eBay is going to account for that, because eBay needs to adapt to what USPS is doing. Because even if I push my handling time out to 7 days, there's still a chance that my package is very, very late and the tracking doesn't update. And so I've heard, maybe I don't know, maybe other people know more about this. I've heard nothing. Let's just talk about eBay specifically. Like, there's going to be all types of agencies that are going to have to account for this and figure out, like, what the hell do we do now to make sure, like, people aren't getting late fees and all this kind of stuff. I want to know specifically, like, how is eBay going to work around this and account for this? So, because, I mean, we're talking thousands of eBay sellers are gonna lose their top-rated seller status. They're gonna get defects on their account. They're gonna get less sales. So I'm very interested to know, and I almost want to call eBay and sort of like ask what is going on with this. That's my USPS news, and like I just had to jump and make a video about this because you guys know how much I am obsessed with mail and shipping and how it all works, and like saving you guys money out there if I can, cutting costs and all that kind of stuff. So that's all I got on this part of it. Let me know what everyone thinks, or if you know anything, or if I misspoke on anything, let me know in the comments. There's also a few USPS rate changes which are going to be happening soon that I saw in another email from Pirate Ship. So we'll just go over that real quick too. This is an email that I got yesterday. So there's also going to be some changes to rates and, of course, price hikes on everything. Like USPS has gone up the most it's ever gone up in the past 5 years, like ever in its history, I think is what I read. They just keep raising the cost of mail on us. I guess apparently there's going to be a few things going down, but then also some hikes. So I'll just show you guys. I'll just read to you guys what the changes, what the rates are going to be. So here's what USPS is changing on January 18th of this month. Ground Advantage rates for shipments up to 15.9 ounces, so just under a pound, will go up by 4% on average, while most shipments between 10 and 20 pounds will actually get up to 26% cheaper. So that's kind of good because I'm having some trouble like mailing heavier items lately. I've been having to just buy a bunch of small items because the heavy stuff is it's just too hard to make profit for some things. So that actually is kind of good news that the 10 to 20 pound will get 26% cheaper. Priority mail. Most priority mail rates are increasing by up to 13%. So that sucks, except for 11 to 20 pounds, which is actually going to be 8% cheaper. So another pound threshold, 11 to 20, which will get 8% cheaper. Okay. Priority mail flat rate. Most flat rate packages are getting cheaper by 10 to 20 cents, except medium and large, which is like what most people like to use, which are getting 15 and 30-cent increases. And a large flat rate is like already like 23 bucks, depending where you get your label, if not more. I don't know. I haven't checked the exact, retail rate of a large flat rate because I usually get my labels other places, but it's not under $20. Priority Mail Express rates are increasing by an average of 2%, except for the PME flat rate envelopes, which are dropping 10 to 15 cents. I've never even used Priority Mail Express, so I'm not really worried about that part. USPS international shipping rates are increasing. Wow, I mean, international shipping is already so expensive. So there goes our international orders, right? That was a good way for me to make like extra sales, was putting on that international, just setting my international shipments, which is eBay makes it very easy to do now. And it's just like it gives you more eyeballs on your items and you have more chance of making a sale if someone in a different country is willing to pay for it, right? And now that's increasing by up to 4 to 8% on average. So, uh, I don't know. I don't know. Simple export rate, SER rates are going up by $1 to $2, but it remains the cheapest way to ship internationally. Okay, simple export rate. I guess I have to look into what that even is. Maybe that's the thing that I was talking about that eBay does, but it doesn't really matter. Like stuff is going up. So that's the USPS rate changes. Try to, make another video and keep everyone updated if I hear anything on like how eBay is going to account for this and what's going to happen with these new USPS changes. So, all right, I've talked way too long. Appreciate everybody for watching. Much love. Peace out.